Guess what? We're live.
Hey, it's Jess the Ska Kid. We're at Palace de Reno, and joining us this evening for the interview portion of the show, Rusty Chicken, aka Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
So let's start off because you briefly mentioned that you named yourself, years ago as Rusty Chicken. How did you come up with that? Why that?
Oh yeah, actually, I like this story because I actually stole it from a friend of mine. Yeah, and I was, I think we were, between the ages of like 12 and 14 is when it all kind of happened, and he told me he had an electric guitar. He was one of the first friends that you'd go over to their house and he had a guitar. And of course, there's only that's how it starts. Your friend has a guitar and then you bug your parents to get a guitar, and then it goes from there. But he told me about starting a band called the Rusty Chickens, and I don't know why I couldn't get it out of my head. So when I decided to be whatever, if it was just solo or my own project with a band with the songs that I wrote, I decided to just change it a little bit and make it just Rusty Chicken. And I was 14, so of course it was the first idea I had. I should have ditched it a long time ago. But the fact that it's been 15 years since then, I decided to hold on to it, and that way it's kind of funny because I stole it from someone, and it's kind of funny because I feel like I can't get away from it.
Those are the best buys, stolen ones. So you've been playing music for 15 years?
Yeah, I figure I started when I was 14, and I started by just playing guitar in my room and trying to figure out other people's songs and then writing some of my own somehow.
So then, have you ever been classically trained? Did you ever get lessons? Or did you just say, hey, Mom and Dad, I want to be like the cool kid down the block and get a guitar, and then you started figuring it out?
Well, yeah, I mean, I basically tried to convince my parents on the merits that, it would be good for me. I want it because it would make me cool. And I never got a whole lot of support from them because, they're not, on Broadway or anything. They're not super artistic people. And they let me do it and they indulged it, but it was they wanted me to do other things, but I was up in my room playing guitar and I wasn't taking lessons. And I don't know why, really. It was just a long process of figuring things out on my own. And then as you get older though, and I did take a few along the way. But I never buckled down and learned anything from a teacher or a master or anything like that.
Did you teach yourself how to play chords? Can you read music, or is everything just figuring it out?
Well, along the way, I know a lot of those skills. I've already figured it out along the way. So now it's I know a little bit of everything. I know a little bit of reading music, on a staff. I know chords. I know a bunch of ways to play chords. I did look at jazz chords a lot at one point in time, and I guess I'm just really good at retaining it.
When did harmonica become a thing? And why that? You're the first person, I think, who has played with a harmonica, yeah?
Who? In the history of everyone? Yeah.
Who? Who else played with a harmonica on the
I don't know.
show?
They should go check it out on YouTube.
Yay!
Yeah.
Throwback
Subscribe
Thursday.
now.
Get a free T-shirt if they can tell us.
But, as a majority of your playing, you incorporated harmonica. So back to the goddamn question. When did you pick up harmonica, and how did that become incorporated into your set?
Well, I always gravitated towards what was cool, in a sense. And, of course, you saw guys playing guitars with harmonicas on a thing, and they'd be able to... I wanted to do that, because I guess I had better luck playing solo than I did with other people when it came to my own songs. So I wanted to do that. I bought a harmonica or two, but nothing really came of it until I had to learn how to play one day, because a friend's band, which was an old-timey band that had just sort of formed, I asked if I could hop in with them on harmonica, or maybe he asked me, this other guy named Mike. And so I started doing that, and they dug how it sounded, and then I joined that band, and I was in that band for a while. And that became a pretty, that evolved over time. Through that band, I also picked up how to play fiddle.
Ooh.
And then we even played a couple songs that were original to me. And It was called Uncle Zesty's Old Time Boot Knockers.
Oh,
Some people out there might,
I've heard of that band.
Yeah. And yeah.
So
What
how,
was the question?
when did you pick up harmonica? You
That's
answered it. We're good. Oh my god, I
And
throw
that was
people
back
over.
in that was like 2010 when that all went
Parties,
down.
man.
Oh my goodness. What other bands have you played in?
The first band I ever joined was this one band called The Oath We Took, and it was they were nice guys. But they were it wasn't really the type of music that I listened to or wanted to play, but they were really cool guys. We became good friends, and they needed a bass player, and that's the only way I ever got into a band was playing bass for people. So I also picked up how to play the bass. I picked it up along with playing guitar because it was just bass guitar, and as long as you got the hands for it, which I guess I did. I mean, anyone could do it if they worked at it, but it was naturally easy because it's just guitar with bigger strings. Bigger and fewer strings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So if that was the first band, what other bands then have you played with?
I did play with, there's a musician named Roaming Bear whose band used to be called Jerome in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
And I played
Previously
bass.
featured
Yeah.
here on the show.
Oh, was Jerome in the Sky around?
No.
Or the Roaming Bear band?
Roaming
Yeah.
Bear. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how long you were doing it, the show for. Yeah, I played bass for Jerome in the Sky. I played bass for that band that we took a little bit, and then I did get to play bass for this really cool, typically a solo artist, or at least at the time, her name was Millie Geronimo, but her name that I think she ditched that. She's Emily Cole, and she's a jazz singer in France now, and I got to go on tour with her for a little bit of the Midwest with the drummer from Jerome and Sky, and I was playing bass, and that was mostly stripped down acoustic DIY shows, and that was a really cool experience. That kind of happened, all that stuff kind of happened at the same time, until I wasn't in a band, and then I found Uncle Zesty's Old Time Boot Knockers, and since that band broke up, I've just been lonely and sad.
Lonely, oh so lonely. How long have you been doing this as just you?
If I understand the question correctly, I'm 29.
Correct. Now, how long have you been playing? Yes.
Just me, so I guess
How
that's
long have you been doing solo stuff?
the funny
as
thing
Rusty
is,
Chicken?
I guess you could say I've been doing it ever since I started.
So just intermittently, when you don't have a band to play bass in.
I've always written songs.
Mhm.
I've never taken a break from writing songs, although it takes a while sometimes, but I've never taken a break from it. I've gone on vacation without a guitar, and it sucked, So, I've always had, Rusty Chicken in my head, I just never was, proactive in putting music out. I was always doing the other bands, which I loved, but it wasn't Rusty Chicken.
Mhm.
So...
How did you decide to play the genre of music that you do?
I look at what I do as mostly folk with that kind of it would go great with a clawhammer banjo, a fiddle. It's kind of cowboy chords for a lot of it, not all of it. I mean, I think tonight I kind of exhibited a different, a more creative side than that, but I usually rely on a style that I think is Americana for the most part. And I definitely picked that up playing with the Boot Knockers and then picking up new musical interests to inspire me. And I also it made sense in a way, being a singer-songwriter flying solo, to do the type of play the type of guitar that it's easy to do while I'm singing, and it also fills out the air, as far as dynamics goes, and overall volume, because there's a lot of different ways to play the guitar.
Mm-hmm. What are your musical influences?
I mean, there's sort of too many to name. It's funny because I've definitely drawn a lot of influence from my peers who are just other local musicians, especially Roaming Bear. He's actually a huge inspiration to me. And other than that, I'd say I'll give you a top 5 of the bands that have been most influential on like my endeavors as a musician would be Modest Mouse, not in a particular order. Modest Mouse, like Django Reinhardt and Stéphane Grappelli, the Hot Club of France, Bill Monroe, the godfather of bluegrass, and then I don't know how many I have left, but I'd say I'm also drawn to like Jimi Hendrix, because I felt like he had a way of just creating like a big sound with very little, you know.
So you were brand new to me. I had never heard of you until you reached out and were like, I'm this thing and I should come to your show. And I was like, I've never heard of you. Sure, why not? What, would you say, have you received more attention? Because now after meeting you, I see your name pop up on a bunch of more things that you're out and about doing.
Yeah, it's a good effect.
Yeah. So, have you had success within our local community with playing, and is your goal to continue to move forward with that?
Well, I right now I live in downtown Kenosha, but I'll be moving out to the county, and I'm unsure about like how much more I'm gonna be around downtown unless I'm like going out specifically for, like a show, like some, and I prefer house shows these days. I kind of think, I don't know. I'm a little bit over the bar scene, and I love Fusion in Kenosha, and they've had me a couple times, and it's a little bit like, you might have to pay like a cover to get in, but usually that's good music. It's also a good place for a band to try to play, especially if you can get like your friends to come out. But I don't know if I'm like super hardcore about like trying to play too many more bars around here or anything like that.
But you're open to playing shows.
I'm open to playing shows for sure. Invite me to your birthday party and I'll play for you.
Aww.
Yeah.
Listen to that. Invite him to your birthday party. He'll play with it for you. What about doing like Harbor Market or like Wilmot Flea Market or any of those sorts of things? Open air markets.
I guess I just haven't figured out how to like contact the right people or get them to like me.
Hey, what? You might know somebody who can help you with that.
I might.
Just saying. But you have an upcoming show on Saturday, the 8th, at Pete's Place, Rusted Daisies. So, Rusty Chicken tonight, who played tonight, is playing Saturday with Dropping Daisies, who will be on our show next Thursday.
It's like a sound.
So how did you get that show?
Oh, well, I love this story because it was like, I've been kind of jaded about trying to get shows around here, but I decided to go over to Fusion.
Really?
Fusion in Kenosha, it's like kind of my spot. It's an open mic, and then I just, the drummer of Dropping Daisies was bartending. She doesn't do that much, but she happened to be doing it there that night, and she just like realized, oh yeah, like you exist, we need an opener for a show coming up. So just right there, I was like, of course, I'll do it. I love Pete's Place. It's around the corner from my house. It's a great place.
Everything's around the corner from your house.
Sounds
like...
Yeah, I know, right?
That show starts at what, 8 or 9?
It starts at 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember things off the top of my head. Hey, it does pretty good.
It's better than the top of your foot.
Right? Why? Isn't that called shoegazing?
No,
Oh! That's a genre of music I learned about by doing this show.
Knowledge floats, so that's why it's all usually in your brain.
It's like
so
heat.
You don't have a lot down there.
It's like heat.
Yeah.
Iguana man.
Yeah.
During our break, he's like, I'm not gonna lie, I very much enjoy the heat. I'm like a reptile. So we were talking about humidity and how it really has no effect to amphibians, and he said, what about, or reptiles, and he said, what about iguanas? So, touche, salesman, touche. You have music available to people out on the interwebs.
Yes, I do.
It's on Bandcamp. We played a sample of that. I believe it was Wheels we played off of Idle Warship on Tuesday, which I love that name for an album. So who recorded that, and where can people find your music?
Who recorded that? That was my old friend Roaming Bear, whose name will get dropped 50 more times, I'm sure.
But who's counting?
No, but yeah, he recorded it for me in his basement. Utilized his knowledge of how he did it for himself in the same place. So it's kind of like the Roaming Bear Militia record label or something. Or anyway.
Well, he's eating macaroni, I think, is what he was saying to us as he was talking. I do this in my closet while I'm eating macaroni.
He built a room in his basement.
Yeah.
And it painted it green and covered it with like artwork to like dampen some of the sound, because I think the walls were just kind of like hollow or something. But yeah, we recorded that back in 2015, and since then it's like I've been going through a lot of changes since then, as far as like kind of pursuing more of like a folk style, kind of trying to brand it that way, versus like that was recorded sounding more like it could be like a sort of a rock band or something. But I did all the parts. I recorded them myself. He just helped me edit them and loop them.
There was an electric in there, right? The solo was electric?
Yeah, there's some of that with some bass, and then you'll hear some harmonica, and then just like a tiny bit of fiddle in the background that I didn't do so well.
Are you going to incorporate the fiddle into this stuff so that when you go out, you can have fiddle songs as well as your acoustic guitar?
Well, I've worked with a local fiddler, very talented one recently, and he's kind of a band whore, so I've tried to rope him in. But, like I said, he likes his sexual freedom as a bandmate.
We're all about
Are you inclusive enough to be poly as a band member?
And yeah, I would be for someone who's really talented, but yeah, I would love to incorporate more people who are interested in that style. I guess like I do feel like I'm, especially with my newer songs, and I can I could change any song into it, is to make it. I mean, it's kind of lame to say these days for some reason, but to make it more country. But country to me isn't what's like currently acceptable as country music.
No, that's
to
pop
me,
music.
Country, yeah. Country is bluegrass, like hardcore bluegrass, and it's really, it's good shit. It's got fiddles and banjos and
accordion,
mandolin. It has those things.
That's a new instrument because my tongue got tied as I said that word. You featured a lot of new songs. Like the last half of your set was like, "Hey, it's not recorded yet. Hey, it's not recorded yet." Do you have any plans or future ambitions to make another album in the near future?
They're not new songs. I just haven't recorded them.
Okay.
So when I recorded with Bear, I only got through like 7 before he was like, I'm tired of recording you, dude. I got other things to do. You can get this equipment too, like, which I haven't yet. But I have like, I think a catalog of like at least 30 songs, like potentially. I mean, a bunch of them I'm not like interested in recording, but a lot of them are just like they're ready to go, or they're ready to be kind of just like finished or tweaked. And but in the spirit of actually getting it done, I think I'm gonna try to nail it down and get like a 5 song thing just to get out there that's current, and at least have it float around the internet.
How long did it take you to record the first thing, Idol Worship?
Idol Worship, I think it was like, I want to say a total of a couple of months, because it was sporadic when I would be able to get in there.
And how did you come up with that name for that album?
That was just, random things popping into my mind grapes,
Your mind grapes?
Yeah, my mind grapes.
What do those look like?
Like grapes.
Like our neurons like little grapes, but like they're almost raisins?
They're like grapes, but you have to close your eyes to see them.
Ah, gotcha.
So is that a craisin?
Depends on who you are.
I guess so.
For me, it might be a crazy.
Oh no!
No, like things pop in my head all day, like every day, and it's like anything from a goofy name to a pun, to like song lyrics. I wish it was more song lyrics these days, because I'm trying to finish a lot. But yeah, it just came into my head like idol. Like I just thought it had the 2 words had like similar sounding words, and when I put those together, it was like I thought of I could see it. I saw it's a worship, but it's idol.
Like, as in,
You
still.
You see it in the ocean, but it's not attacking you. But it's just this beast of a thing that can blow you to pieces.
And it's also like other metaphors that you could tie into that too. It's really up to the person listening to its interpretation. Good job on being arty.
Thanks.
Cheers to that.
All right.
Ready? Let's do it.
Waiting for a reason to drink.
Yay! You needed a reason?
Yeah, no shit.
And those could be questions.
I try to keep it interesting.
Ah.
I've been getting bored of it lately.
Oh no, you've been getting bored with this? Or like getting creative? Do you have artwork that goes along with your album?
Oh, you know, it's funny that you should mention that because I brought something. I do make artwork, and I don't really think of any of it specifically going towards the album or anything. I don't even know what I do with it. Did I put it back in here? Yeah, I did. This is like something that I've done, and I do a lot of like.
That's really cool.
I got into a little bit of like that, you know, Dia del Muerte macabre thing.
I like it.
For a little bit of time, and I actually do it all with Sharpie. So like I've gotten down with like blending with Sharpie, but I do like basically cartoons.
Yeah?
Yeah. And I haven't like animated, but I do like, you know, cartoon scenes or just like twisted looking stuff that's just fun to draw, ends up looking good. I've done a little bit of Rick and Morty fan art that I haven't shared. But I do art too.
Is it hard for you to navigate social media to like show the world your artistic talent?
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's hard because I just don't have.
My mom's kicking in.
I just don't. I don't have the drive. That's why it's hard. It's like I want to do it, and I don't have the drive to like stick your neck out there and I don't know, see no results.
What do you mean? Do you think there would be no results? I mean, if you're sitting there doing it
know that-
anyway,
I
what is
know
the
that.
fucking harm in taking a picture and posting it?
Well, I mean, I've posted things for sure, shared it. I guess the next step would be like bombarding people, like, look at me, look what I can do.
Yeah.
But it sucks.
Stewart.
Yeah.
It sucks because it is hard to do everything.
Yeah.
So I haven't done anything like with drawings and stuff. I haven't really done anything in like months.
Are you familiar with Hatrix's First Fridays event?
No.
Even though you are over the bar scene, this is a platform that would allow you to not only display your music, but your art as well. Hey, I'm gonna pimp an event. So tomorrow night at Hatrix, Kiff is our artist. He is known as Pointedly Artistic.
That's right.
Hatrix every Friday night, or every first Friday of every month from 7 to midnight, hosts a First Fridays event where artists and, you know, acoustic musicians and such things come and set up their tables and display their stuff. So you have a platform to sell and show the world, or at least a small bit of Kenosha who wants to get drunk, your talent. So
Their stuff.
buy their stuff. And we've thus become connected with a bunch of other underground artists who are doing this very quietly and also don't social media very well. But that's how the network gets started.
Yeah.
But your stuff is cool, so I want the world to know it. Look at his stuff! I'm sorry. Read my boobs. Buy his stuff. Just kidding. Anyways.
Check me out on Pornhub. Just kidding.
Do you have things available for purchase? Like, where can people find you on the interwebs?
I guess other than the music I have up on Bandcamp, there's no like official thing. If you were interested in having some art done, I'm actually really cheap because I love to do it, and I'm not making anything now, so whatever. You could just hit me up. You could send me a message on Rusty Chicken or Rusty Argles, like my personal page, if that's what you want. I do intend on working on making those things more accessible, or at least more, known. But I guess I'm just like, lately my mind, like, in the moment has been focused on a lot of writing, trying to like finish some songs, trying to take the next step to get them recorded. And then just trying to play shows along the way and keep like it's like I said, it's hard to do everything. It's hard to spread yourself thin creatively and it's getting harder as I get older. I have to say, not impossible, but like it is getting harder. I want to give up.
Why?
Just because it's. I'm just saying it's true. It's like if you're going for a run and you say you want to give up, doesn't mean you have to stop and give up. You say you know that it's true though. you take it to the end and you accomplish something anyway.
Good.
But that's how I see it. But it's it's just it's a lot, and I guess I don't know. Maybe my brain's not firing as much as it was in like my early 20s, but. I was, I think my music actually has a lot more to do with life's experiences. So, I don't know, I always try to incorporate everything that happens to me and all, like, everything that I feel, about life into anything that I'm writing. So, it's an important outlet for me to have.
How many tours have you been on? Because you had mentioned with some of those songs that you wrote that as an experience while you were out and about.
Yeah, it was kind of a tour with my friend Bear and a couple other friends of ours, like my friend Dylan, who you can like find his beats as Vixel. I'm gonna pimp that because he's cool. Vixel Beats, and then another friend William Gilliam. We went on the road and it was kind of a tour. We weren't like disciplined, but we did play music in the streets and get a bunch of people to fucking love it and give us a bunch of money, and. And I did that for a while. I ended up spending like a season in Key West. I skipped the winter and I met some guys who were, not 100% musicians, but they like jammed along. And we did some covers and then we did some of my songs and I kind of led the band because I was like the one singing and belting it out, losing my voice, like changing keys on songs because I sounded like a little bit more like Louis Armstrong, which I love. I should drink more to try to get that back.
Do we need to cheers again? Is that the break?
I'm almost there.
So, what do you want to do with Rusty Check-In? Do you anticipate ever doing a tour, or will it just be a sporadic? I'm just gonna pick up and go.
I have it's a solid goal for me to do it within the next year. Is to go take it out there on the road and try like a few different towns and just places that are far from here. It doesn't matter like where they are, if it's like exotic or popular or whatever, because I know there's like a lot of great music scenes happening underground all over the place in the country, and a lot of smaller towns are like, they're waking up to the bigger people actually coming through and playing shows, and it's music's saturated, so it's like, what am I gonna do? Try to go play in Chicago where everyone's trying to get a gig and. I mean, I would.
There's a lot of underground.
But I'm thinking of what about Boise, Idaho?
Hey,
random.
You can talk to the abscometrist.
Yeah.
Pick a city. I bet you we've talked to him.
If only you knew a person.
Where do you want to go play? If you right now hypothetically could pick these few cities that you want to take Rusty Chicken on a tour through, where would be your stomping grounds? Where do you want to be?
Honestly, I think about it a lot, and I know a little bit about a lot of parts of the country. It would depend on what time of year. Depend on how long I'd go out. I'm thinking about trying to shoot out for 2 weeks at a time and see how that works, see how far I can get and actually manage it. Mm-hmm. I know that it's it's like a solid 25-hour drive between here and Las Vegas, pretty much.
Yes.
And I love going out west, but right now I'd love to go to Seattle just to see some family who lives out there and see it for the first time. Kind of being on the sound, Puget Sound. Mm-hmm. But as far as I want to go everywhere. I want to go everywhere for sure. I want to go to Canada really bad. I want to go Toronto or Montreal or both.
Hey, Classy Rex.
Yeah.
Just saying. You need an opening act. We know people there too. Yeah. And Buffalo with the Abrupters, and this has allowed us a conduit to be able to connect people.
You want to go to Europe?
Such as yourself don't want to do that, which is why we're doing this underground thing.
Japan.
Thanks for buying into our product.
Japan would be
So, Rusty Chicken and Emu Chicken?
Right?
Holy shit!
Japan!
We We played a guy.
Emu chicken?
Yeah, his name is Emu Chicken.
Oh, God.
Back, I think it was April,
Yeah.
maybe. So you would have to go back and go to the YouTube and watch that. But he sent us music from Japan, and we were trying to figure out the time difference, but it's a full day different. So, like,
It's a full day.
yes. So, like, I would have, if I called him at 8 p.m. on a Thursday night, it would really be Friday morning in Japan, but he works. So we were trying to figure out on a weekend how to do this. And so, shout out to Emu Chicken. Thanks for
And
sending
where can you find that video?
on YouTube, Jess the Ska Kid. Just like you can find this one. Just like you can utilize this one.
Wow, it's so easy. What is this YouTube you speak
I
of?
don't know. Social media. If it's one thing I'm good at, it's time management and organization. Hey, I guess. I don't know. Your skills? What are your skills?
I think you saw them all.
So once again, we've been talking with Mike from who is Rusty Chicken, who you can find on Facebook as Rusty Chicken, as well as on Bandcamp. Search Rusty Chicken. Idol Worship is his album. That's all you have up there, hey?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to call the next one.
Not yet,
It hasn't
anyway.
popped in my head yet.
But you saw it.
But you did see it here and heard it here, and you can catch him live and in person. And if you have more questions to ask him that I didn't think of, go to Pete's Place on Saturday night at 9 p.m. after you're done watching Ego and the Maniacs here, and go do that.
Right.
They're from Ohio.
And you can catch me with a bear trap. It's actually the best way.
Oh wow.
You may limp after that, though.
He'll draw about it. It's okay. So without further ado, we lead you into this good night. Go safely amongst your travels. Get weird, my friends. Enjoy your weekend. We'll catch you tomorrow night for updates and birthday shit.
And
And then Saturday with Ego and the Maniacs. And you can catch him Saturday at Pete's Place with Dropping Daisies, who you can catch next Thursday on our show. Okay?
All
Thanks.
right. Thank you guys. Loved it.